Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another of our fine webinar Wednesdays. Beautiful Wednesday today. This is Managing Your Small Business Beyond the Pandemic, our series that began back on March 18th of 2020 on our 88th consecutive Wednesday of providing you a live webinar on pandemic relief and other great topics related to small business. So good afternoon, my name is Helle Bearden. I am the director of the CSU Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. So what's up today? Up today, November 17th, as 2021 flies along. Well, what's up today is we're gonna do something we haven't done in a while. We're gonna look at a little bit of EIDL by the numbers, or as you might refer to it as the EIDL numeric eye chart. That's right. So many numbers on such a screen, but we'll give you a little bit of analysis of what we see, what's going on with the COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. We're going to talk a little bit about the California Venues Program that it'll be closing on Friday. So kind of a last call for that program. Our special guest will be introducing shortly. It'll give us a great update on water, energy, and technology projects that are going on and services provided and programs throughout the San Joaquin Valley. We'll talk a little bit about our City of Bakersfield Restart Loan to Grant program that is still going on. As we found out in the last week, it's made it official with the signing of the infrastructure bill that ends the employer retention tax credit. The employer retention credit for employers now is ended on September 30th. So that's something to keep in mind. There's some managerial aspects of that on how you manage your pandemic relief to get the maximum amount of employee retention credit as of 9/30/2021. We'll also take your questions at the end and also a poll. That is a poll if the poll cooperates. So still wanting me to stop my share in order to poll. Here we go. Just one poll question today, a little bitty question on local relief, something we haven't talked about before. And it is, I have received the following local pandemic relief programs. And your four choices are Kern Recovers. And the Kern Recovers could be a Kern Recovers loan or PPE program, a Bakersfield loan or grant program, or if you're outside of Kern County, another local county program that you've used, or another local city program. So wherever you are, if you've had a city program or local program, if you're here in Kern County, we had Kern Recovers, we had also the PPE program. And so jump in, vote away. We'll give you a few minutes to jump into this. We're looking at local relief programs, local pandemic relief. So choices, Kern Recovers, loan, PPE, the Bakersfield loan or grant program. There's been a couple of them for the city of Bakersfield. If you're outside of the county of Kern and participated in another local county program, we know there was one in Mono County, there was one in Inyo County, other areas that the CSU Bakersfield SBDC serves, and other SBDC clients throughout the Central California region. Okay, we are going to give you another moment or two and end the poll. And we are going to end the poll and share the results with you. And the results are, well, there you go. Half of the number of participants today received either a Kern Recovers loan or PPE. We had 13% of you receive a Bakersfield loan or grant program. Those of you that are outside the county of Kern, 38% of you received a local county program and 13% another local program. So thank you for jumping in, and we will stop sharing the poll and kind of get back with the program here. So one thing that we haven't done in a while is we haven't really looked at the impact of what is going on from a standpoint of kind of what's happening with the coronavirus and some other things. We're going to look at that in just a moment. But first, let's kind of look at our status and look at our action of key stimulus programs that are still in operation. We still have some of them that are going on, like the EIDL program is still open. There's a number of actions that you could take on this. You could still apply. You can do that through December 31st. You could also request reconsideration if you were previously denied, or you can seek an increase in funds. We had mentioned the employee retention credit. At the fourth quarter, I believe, is still open if you want to amend a return for the fourth quarter, and that would be in 2020. In 2021, the program has ended after the third quarter, so it was closed as of September 30th. We'd mentioned the California Venues Grant Program. It is open until Friday, open until November 19th. The City of Bakersfield Restart Loan to Grant Program is open until November 30th, and you'll want to contact Access Plus Capital for more information on that. And what we like to do is we continue to like to remind individuals that even though the California Relief Grant Program has closed, to check your email, because there are clients we find every week, amazingly, every week, that were notified that they were successful in their application and can receive $5,000, $15,000, or $25,000 by completing the necessary steps. So the California Relief Grant Program is closed, but check your email, anybody's email who you might have used in order to apply. After the first of the year, it looks like throughout much of California, there will be a micro grant program, a California Relief micro grant for businesses that had less than $50,000 and did not receive the California Relief Grant. On that, more on that later on. Ppp Forgiveness. If you haven't applied for Ppp Forgiveness, it's due 10 months from the end of your covered period. So let's talk a little bit about the EIDL program as we're getting down to a month and a half before the last chance to apply for this program. There are other considerations that you can do. You can still reconsider, as we had mentioned, or you can increase the amount of your EIDL. So here are some of the links that we've been providing individuals with. The key thing, if you've had any problem with your EIDL, really try to contact the SBA Customer Service Center. That is the customer service center located in Texas, 800-658-2955. And there's a number of other things that we have, that resources that we have, including our Big EIDL program about 8 weeks ago, and some of the other resources that we'll mention. So if you were originally declined on your EIDL and it has been within 6 months, there can be a variety of reasons on why you can get that EIDL decline turned around into an acceptance. So what we do is you generally start the process by emailing SBA, and there is the email address, pdcreons@SBA. So it's pdcrecons@sba.gov. What you want to find out is why you were declined. We'll go into a few of the reasons, the most common reasons why you were declined, or actually let's do that now. So here are your common declines for the EIDL loan. You could have unsatisfactory credit history. And if that's the case, you know, SBA has lessened the minimum credit scoring as we've gone along. And plus, over that process of time, your credit score could have increased. So if you were declined for that particular reason, you could be accepted. Unverifiable information. Boy, unverifiable information has been a key one over time. And unverifiable information has been something that came after the restrictions and the problems with fraud. So they have not been able to verify for whatever reason. One common one was individuals had a different tax return than business address, very common. And they couldn't verify because the two had separate addresses and they couldn't verify that. Another reason could be your business activity was not eligible. So maybe you were in, maybe you owned a poker room, for example, which is gambling, and that is not one of the activities that SBA lending involves. So maybe you have a business activity was not eligible. It could have also been something else. It could have been a speculative business or something along those lines. Whereas there's a number of different U.S. citizen statuses that are eligible, but you could have still been in an ineligible U.S. citizen status. So I think there's 3 or 4 of them on there that actually are on the list. You could also have not been able to substantiate an economic loss. So again, you must kind of be able to demonstrate that you were impacted by COVID-19 on many of these rules and regulations. There could be character issues as far as maybe some personal history that is outside of the SBA lending criteria, or you did not respond when you were going through this particular process. So if any of those happened, you could have been declined. You must address that within 6 months of the notice of decline, and then also provide information on why SBA should change that decision. So on that email that you send to the email address at the top, you're going to want to include your name. You're going to want to include your business name, your taxpayer identification number, and your application number. There is make sure you've had completed a 4506T. Again, the 4506T form is a request to share information from the IRS. So even though you might provide tax returns to the SBA wants to check and verify that you provided the same information to the IRS and then submit for reconsideration. Okay, so those are the common declines that we see. Now's a good time to go look at a couple of other things before we come back. So coming over here and looking up at this particular aspect. I'll go back, share the screen. And yes, PowerPoint is a little bulky today. So now there's the ticket. Go out and come back in. So some other EIDL issues that you're going to want to make sure you're aware of as you go through that particular process. So if you have been approved for a economic injury disaster loan, you're going to want to carefully read your loan agreement and assignment, the LL&A. And you want to know the obligations in that agreement. There's a number of things that are regarding collateral, SBA security, any sale of the assets, change in ownerships that you have to have prior approval from SBA on. And you also need authorization to relocate the business. So if you're looking to relocate the business into potentially another state or anywhere else, you're going to need to know that information and have that information readily available. So whereas there's not an assignment clause, it could be assumable on a case-by-case basis. And it's kind of interesting because we've talked to a few individuals who have taken out substantial EIDLs, or at least substantial for their business. And then they've decided that they wanted to either retire or sell their business. So when it's come down to maybe, assuming that particular EIDL loan, it is done on a case-by-case basis. Call the 800 number, talk to SBA very early in that particular process. And those are some of the EIDL issues and concerns that we are seeing that pop up. We talked about the California Venues Grant Program. Let me see if my share is going to help me out here. So let me try to do a reshare and just kind of pull this up real quick here. And some of you that have seen this before might remember, this is it. This is the numeric eye chart. And just what I want to share with you is what has happened with the COVID EIDL program. So as of the end of last year, and these are the report dates. Their report dates aren't always consistent. They're not done weekly. Sometimes they're done, here was one on November 23rd at the very bottom, 2020, and then the next one was February 5th. So sometime around the end of last year, we had basically, around 200 billion that was allocated. And that was allocated in about 3.7 million idle loans. So a lot of activity that happened that first year. If you notice since then, we've only had about 100 plus, maybe 120,000 idles that have been done in this particular year. And a lot of those have started to occur after the SBA changed the rules and regulations in September. So now if you go up to our most latest report, which is November the 4th, you'll see that it's up to about 292 billion, still plenty of money left. And what we see over here on the far right is how the idles have changed. The average size of an idle going around the first of this year was $53,000. And most recently, it has risen steadily throughout the year up to about 76,000. And that is a couple of reasons. It's because of the changes, but it also has been the opportunity for people to request more funds. So there's kind of our idle by the numbers for today. Haven't done it for a while, but we really have seen where the increase in the average idle size has increased rather substantially this year. So 292 billion, our smallest projection was somewhere around 367 billion. So it seems like there's sufficient funds to get through the end of the year if people want to request a larger idle, or if they want to actually still take one out, which there's still time to do so. So on this, and going back just another on the idle increase. So with the idle increase, you are able to, increase all the way your funding is used. Whereas before it was mostly working capital, notes payable. Your idle expenses, the number of eligibility expenses to include paying off commercial debt, including credit cards and certain government-backed debt, can now be used to pay off your idle. And remember, previously that was only for emergency funds. The idle made a big shift where it went from being an emergency program to a recovery program. So the California Venues Grant, if you want to get in on that, still a few days left. And what you're seeing is the opportunity, if you had revenue that was basically gross earned revenue in the 2019 taxable year of 1.25 million or higher, you can receive up to 250,000. It is based and scaled on that particular revenue. Quickly on PPP forgiveness, you have 24 weeks to use the money if that's your covered period that was elected, 10-month window from the end of the period, 60 days for your lender to verify. And this is generally assuming that your lender has a process that is outside, which most of our local lenders had here in Kern County, outside of the SBA direct portal. More came on and more became more involved with the direct forgiveness portal through SBA, and then 90 days for the SBA to review or make a final decision. And here are the forms that you're going to use for that forgiveness process, SBA 3508. We also have the EZ form and the S form, depending on a variety of different factors. The S form was for those businesses that were particularly small, and basically you could sign 50,000 and less. And then there's the EZ and the full-fledged form. So again, if I failed to mention, but if you have a question, put it in the question and answer box. We'll get it after our guest speaker. If you look into our chat box, you're going to find a number of resources of things that I have been discussing and where to go. And you can grab those out of the chat right now and actually use those later on. There's the employee retention tax credit. This is coming up on what we had. Basically, it has changed numerous times. The most recently, the IRS provided guidance that clarified that the taxpayers must reduce their wage expense equal to their credits received. But the earned retention credit has been really a nice tool for a lot of businesses, even though you do have to reduce the amount that actually you receive. So a number of things with the employee retention credit, and those are some of the credits that you have to use to reduce that. We have the earned, the the employee retention credit. It is actually for recovery businesses as well. It's really one of the only pandemic relief programs that has been available for those that began a business or have carried on a trade after February 15th, 2020. So if you had employees and you didn't exceed $1 million, there could be some eligibility for you to reap benefits through the employee retention credit. You know, I've got to give a shout out to our Webinar Wednesday sponsors, you know, the County of Kern, Mid-State Development, GoBiz, SBA, and the School of BPA at California State University, Bakersfield. So I know I covered all these topics in very limited detail today to get to our guest speaker, but you know, we have on our YouTube channel, which is CSU SBDC, a variety of past expert topic webinars. We had subject matter experts that provided great commentary on these particular webinars. So if you want more on the EIDL, there's a full hour plus on the economic injury disaster loan, the major changes in September to that program with Keith Price. We talked ERC just recently with our guest Michael Stevenson, had COVID HR issues back on September 1st. Employees, obviously a hot topic and still a big topic going forward. Our special guest then, Teresa Hitchcock, talked about employees and ways to find them. Ppp Forgiveness was back on June 9th, and we talked to venues in more detail just a couple of weeks ago. So go to our YouTube channel and you can find all of those resources and grab more information. You can always send an email to the SBDC and talk more information there. But let's get on to our special guest today. And our special guest today is Helle Petersen. And Helle joined the Water, Energy, and Technology Center at Fresno State in 2011. And she manages the center and it's very innovative and entrepreneurship programs. She's been in entrepreneurship and innovation for most of the time in her career, first at the Central Valley Business Incubator, which is actually where I think I met Helle when it was hosting the SBDC program earlier for Fresno State. She earned her Master of Science in Environmental Engineering from Technical University of Denmark, is an alumni of the Fresno State MBA program, and has lived in Fresno since 2003 with her husband and 2 children. Helle, it's great to have you here. Thank you for being a great collaborator with the SBDC over the years, and love to hear what's going on, as always, with the Web Center. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for inviting me today, and also to Maureen for getting all the technical things sorted out and help us promote this great webinar. And I'm excited to be here today and be part of this. I think was number 88 of the webinars you have done, or something along those lines. So thank you for that. And just for the audience, Kelly and I go way back, as he mentioned, when I was part of SBDC as well. So I've been really enjoying working with him and his crew for many years. I'm just gonna share my screen. So I'm gonna, yes, bump you out and get back on my own here. So as Kelly mentioned, I'm Helle Petersen. I manage the Water, Energy, and Technology Center, and I'll be talking about that today. Some of you, I kind of glanced at the attendees list, might be aware of some of the things we're doing at Fresno State at the Water, Energy, and Technology Center. And I'll also be talking about one of our biggest initiatives where we are very proud to partner with a couple of groups from the Bakersfield, Kern County area, which is the BlueTechValley Innovation Cluster program that we run. And feel free to, I will try to see if I can manage the chat. If not, we'll do questions probably after my presentation. The WET Center, Water, Energy, and Technology Center, our mission is to support water, energy, or ag-tech-driven innovation and entrepreneurs, and work with them at the different stages where they are at. We have programs that can help you if you have an idea or prototype, but also if you are already commercialized and maybe need help to grow and expand, we have services that can help with that. The center itself is a physical building, and you can see on the picture here, and it's located on Fresno State County. It was established and built in 2007 as a partnership between the Central Valley Business Incubator, Fresno State, and a couple of federal agencies that were able to provide some funding to us. The Central Valley Business Incubator was actually started by our former mayor, Ashley Swangjing, to be a support system for entrepreneurs in the Valley. And they decided together with Fresno State that it could be really great to build an incubator or facility that would focus specifically on water, energy, and ag, because it's so important for our region, like it is for yours as well, to make sure that we continue to sustain that industry and also take advantage of some of the economic development and other types of companies that can grow out of having that close proximity to these industries. The federal funding was the Economic Development Agency and the Environmental Protection Agency that helped fund the WET Center. And I should mention that the WET Center, half of it is business development, the programs I run, incubation, acceleration. The other half of the center is actually a big hydraulics lab, where we can test different kind of products that requires running water, but we can also do things like irrigation technology, water quality, emitters, and other things as well that requires water. We are part of the Jordan College of Ag and Science, and we are under the umbrella of the Center for Irrigation Technology. It is not really logical that that's where we're placed. It's just happened through history that that's where we were housed in the beginning, and we grew out of there. It does, however, give us a really good balance, because we can always get help from on the technical side, help with the evaluations we do, get the technical expertise, the subject matter experts from our parent and sister organizations that are under the same college as us. As I mentioned before, we do some testing. We also have a farm surrounding Fresno State where we can do demonstration and field research if that's what a company needs to grow and expand. If they need access to that demonstration or field research, we can do that. We have a winery, we have several different livestock options, a dairy as well. So we really have some good waste streams and good industry like that, parallel to the industries that we see in our region, so we can do some real testing and demonstrations on those assets too. Here just some pictures to the right about how it looks when you walk in the door. So we actually have two buildings now. The first two were from our newest building that we were able to remodel in 2017, I think it was, with some co-sharing spaces for companies to work out. We have to work out of as well. Some do just like if they're not necessarily from the Fresno region, but maybe from Kern County, the Bay Area, whatever, they might want to come to Fresno once in a while and have a place where they can have meetings or sit and work in between meetings with customers or other stakeholders. And that's what the WET Center offers as well. We do have, I think, 12 office spaces as well that we rent out for companies specifically that are interested in an office. We drive economic development. We kind of balance on that, where we are partially economic development and partially innovation, tech-driven, but they actually go really well together. And one of the things we're really trying to do with our economic development is to accelerate some of the job creation, especially around obviously technology, and really try to support the next future of both farmers and innovators, small businesses, entrepreneurs. We also committed to really work with a diverse group of entrepreneurs, and we are happy. We still have work to do, but we are very pleased that we can at least see a much wider representation, both in terms of gender, socioeconomics, race, and so forth. So building an innovative ecosystem. So a lot of the work we do at the Wet Center is to try to continuously build and improve and grow what's called our ecosystem. Many of you do that as well in your own business when you think about all the different groups that you interact with. When you want to build an ecosystem, there's a lot of work being done on how to really build successful regional ecosystems. But as you can see on the different squares I have here at the top, there's certain elements that we need to have in place for it to be successful. Of course, we need to have the entrepreneurs, because without entrepreneurs and small businesses, none of this would really be successful. Research is another component, especially when we're talking about science-based technologies as the space that we work in. Customers, always, that's the number one thing, as you know, to grow. Investors, for companies that require capital, we need to have a workforce that can support both the research, the businesses, the entrepreneurs to grow. And then we need enabling organizations that can help provide some of the services that are not, that are either sponsored from different programs or just provide that support that the customers need or the entrepreneurs need. That will be the Wet Center, it will be SBDC, that would help being those enabling organizations. When we look at the Valley, we have a lot of this already, and you probably see entrepreneurs, small businesses that want to be in the Kern County area because of the customers you have right there. And we see the same both in terms of water, energy, and ag. Because of the industries we have here, they have their customers right there. So this is where they want to grow their business. And that's what we're trying to really leverage at the Wet Center. So of course, grow our own entrepreneurs, small businesses that are rooted here, that have always been here, that want to grow here, but also try to attract other companies from other areas that really sees a benefit in being in the Central Valley. The Energy Commission, California Energy Commission, actually looked at the same things that we do. And in 2013 was actually when they first started to look into building innovation clusters in California. They saw that one of the things that that's in their mission is to get better technology in the hands of the California ratepayer to help offset price, cost, efficiency, availability, and a bunch of other areas that they are mandated to work on through their what they have to provide. So in 2013, the private sector investors had really largely withdrawn their support to the clean tech sector. Venture capitalists really realized that it takes a long time to develop clean technologies, and the capital needs were way higher than they were used to seeing, for example, in software, where there's no hardware, there's not a physical product, it doesn't take a big maybe manufacturing facility, it doesn't take years of developing even a prototype. So the Energy Commissions looked at ways, new models where they could still deliver these clean energy technologies to the market, and but also realized they needed to do something to get this sector to survive, and also put California in the forefront of a lot of these technologies. So in 2016, they launched an initiative called the California Energy Innovation Ecosystem. And the goal was there to support clean energy ventures that could meet the requirements of the private sector. So what is it really that, just finding solutions to pain point that was out there. The ecosystem that they wanted to build, they wanted to have develop networks, funding opportunity, mentors, facilities, and really look at how they could take the invention from the initial stage to the impact stage. I kind of have a little drawing, as you can see on the bottom, and they really were looking at how do we, as you may know in your life and the journey you have been on launching your business, that there's this valley of death where you have an idea, you have started, but you just need that funding or extra support to get over the valley of death. And that's one of the things they really wanted to do with this program. It's paid under what's called the Electric Investment Charge, or EPIC program, which is the funding mechanism within the California Energy Commission to fund clean energy research. So what they did was they basically divided the state up in 4 regions. They did it mainly per, not by geography, as you can see in terms of square miles, but more in terms of population. So they have one area up in the Bay Area. There's one energy cluster. It's ran by a group called Activate. They're a little bit different because they work with very high-tech, hardware-focused entrepreneurs, and their program is actually a 2-year incubation program to get access to their services there. LA, it's ran out of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, and then we have the Clean Tech San Diego runs point on the 4 most southern counties of California. And then the BlueTechValley, which is what you see here, is the rest. So it's 39 counties out of California, so I think 52 or something like that. So we cover a really large geography with some similarities, but also big differences that we need to take into account. And therefore, we are very pleased that we have very good partners and that we are connected with, such as Kelly and Bakersfield, CSU Bakersfield, Kern EDC in the most southern region there. So it was a 5-year funding that they provided to these innovation clusters, and we were recently refunded to continue this work the next 5 years. They also put aside funding for, and I want to bring that up here as well, for 2 other programs within the same innovation cluster ecosystem that they were developing. The first one is CalSeed, and the next one is CalTestBed. So CalSeed provides funding for very early stage companies. If you're familiar with the terminology technology readiness level, where 1 is idea and 9 is commercial, they really want to focus on technologies that are 2 to 4. So maybe there's a prototype, there might not be, maybe there's a prototype that needs to be tested a little bit further, but it's really in that early stage where it's impossible to find funding normally, or at least very, very difficult. It's $150,000. It's non-dilutive, it's a grant. So you don't have to pay it back, it's not going on your books, anything like that. If you are successful in reaching the milestones you have determined that you were gonna do with the $150,000, you have the possibility to apply for an additional $450,000, which is their commercialization grant. There, it's really to take what you did with your 150 and now try to grow it more into a business. You'll write a business plan, you'll have a pitch, and you'll try to kind of get what are the next steps I need to do to get this thing launched. It does come with the money, but it also comes with access to a really great network and a lot of support. The thing with CalSeed is that they give so we just had a round of applications, and I think the next one will come out probably in January, February, a call for proposals. They give out between 6 and 7 awards at each time they do a funding to each of the clusters. We only had in the BlueTechValley for this last round 7 applications total. And the 7th one that did not get funded was not worth funding. For the Bay Area, we get as many as maybe 60 proposals. So I would really encourage anyone that think they might have something that can fit in this space and are looking for this initial funding to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help put, review the application or give you some feedback on what it could look like. I also review the applications. I don't review from our own area, but I review from the Bay Area. It's usually the group I get. So I can come with some good input on how you can best position yourself for this funding. I would just really like to see the BlueTechValley region come forward with some really good applications, because I do think we have the talent here. I think we have the ideas here. And I think that could be great. It has to be energy related or climate tech, sustainable ag, water savings, forest fire mitigation, CO2 capture, emissions, anything like that. It's pretty broad, but it has to be, of course, within the parameter of the California Energy Commission. CalTestBed is another program that they run, which is after the CalSeed, if you will. I actually do think you have to maybe have won a CalSeed award to get into the CalTestBed. I'm not sure, but I think that's how they operate. But that is to get a testing voucher to one of the, I think they have about 20 different testing sites, which is mostly UC campuses, either their facility or their laboratories or any other resources where they can do testing. You would kind of apply for, okay, I would like to test XYZ. This is my preferred university to do it at. They have a really great resource where you can see just all of the universities, what resources they're able to provide, what their facilities, and you will kind of look at, okay, I think I want to go here, here, and here, and then they will try to match you with the right faculty and the right facility, and you would use your testing voucher to kind of pay them for the work that you want done. So it's just a really great program. If you can get access to this funding, I think it'll be worth it, and I'm happy to, of course, help you as much as I can. Empower Energy Innovation Network is the last thing I want to mention on this slide. It is a website that is trying to just really support entrepreneurs, either to find partners or give them access to resources they need. They send a lot of emails out about different funding opportunities. So I'll encourage you, if you are in the energy space, to maybe look at this. You sign up, you put in your profile, you build it on that website, and then you can get automatic emails, obviously, with opportunities, or you can find other people to collaborate with. So just a heads up on that as well. As I mentioned before, the BlueTechValley Innovation Cluster is just really big in scope in geography. So that's why we did the hub and spoke model. We don't want everything to be run out of Fresno. We really want to try to meet the entrepreneurs where they're at, utilizing the partners that we have all over California. And you can see I'm not going to go into details with everybody, but it's just been a really good partnership for us, and we couldn't do it without you, as I just mentioned. As you can see here, there's a couple of, we have our hubs, which is the anchors in each region, and then we have other partners that provide specific support. For example, we're supporting the UC Davis business plan competition. UC Berkeley, what we work with them on is actually legal help. They have a program called the Law Clinic that's ran out of their law school program, and they are specifically tasked with providing legal support to underrepresented areas in the Central Valley and East Bay. So they actually they will be down here once in a while. Pre-COVID, now they're doing everything online, but they have a huge legal library where you can get all kind of information. They do workshops, and they also do one-on-one consultations. They actually work with not only water, energy, and ag businesses. So you are not one of those and you are needing some legal help, they can probably help you with that as well. Just wanted to throw that out there. Some of the programs that we offer at the WET Center, either part of our BlueTechValley or at the Energy Center, usually when people come into us, we want to make sure, since we are a science-based, technology-based company, that we actually believe you have a sound technology. We do what we call our technology innovation evaluation, mostly with companies, innovators, entrepreneurs that are very early stage. If we come in with someone who has already seen some sales, who are growing, who has done a bunch of testing or work with other entities, we're probably not going to do it because we think they wouldn't have gotten so far without having good technology. But this is really where we try to put a team together of subject matter experts that can weigh in on how they think this might fit in the marketplace, if it has some just sound technology behind it, and also really help map out what are the next steps going to be. This is also where our BlueTechValley commercialization plans come in. Once they're kind of cleared with the technology, we can take them and help them through the commercialization process. So really figuring out what it is they need to move, what stepping stones do they need to move forward. And sometimes it can be access to other partners. Often it's funding, which is always difficult. So we spend a lot of time trying to see how that can maybe be solved. And this is also where we rely on our partners a lot. Our most robust program is our accelerator. It is mostly for companies that are fairly developed, have maybe made a few sales, or at least they're not gonna miss so much with product development. They're kind of there. They're ready to go out and talk to customers and maybe finding a few first customer, or at least someone that will be interested in demoing or trying it out. They are with us for about 2 months, where we changed it, of course, the last few years to be, first it was in person, then it was completely online, and this year we actually tried to do a hybrid. So we did most of the 32 hours of instruction virtually, and then we had a pitch session that was in person, and a way for them to come to Fresno, meet our team, obviously, but also see if they could maybe meet some stakeholders in terms of potential customers or investors of what they were looking for. Once they get out of that classroom cohort setting, we work with them with an advisory service component for about 6 to 9 months after that. So that's really the one-on-one help that we can provide. We will go day one and say, okay, what are the 2 to 4 things that you really want to work on the next 6 to 8 months, and where can we help? And then we will pair them up with advisors and with mentors to get moving on that. As I mentioned before, we also have office space, plug and play facilities. We do product testing, all that. Then we also have a number of resources that we can offer. We have webinars, we have a virtual classroom, we have a lot of videos about different things, or companies, or our programs. We do events, we have a newsletter, we have social media. So we just have a lot of things that you can tap into you don't have to be a member. It's free for everybody to do this. I will also say our services, except for our WET Center membership, which is, I think it's $100 a year, so it's not much, but it's mostly for people who either want to have an address where we are, or being a little more engaged, they can do that. But all the services we provide through BlueTechValley is, for the most part, at no cost. Here, just a little bit about the different programs. I think I went into most of that already. The technology evaluation is one. commercialization plans is kind of the next step. Then we have our accelerator and our advisory. So I don't think I'll go into this more, but feel free to either go on our website, it'll be explained there as well, or reach out to me if you think you fall into one of these buckets and are interested in working with us. Here I was going to show a video, and I'll see if I can make it work, because one of the companies we work with is out of Bakersfield. They are called Red Track. They were in our, I think, first accelerator cohort. We're now at our 6th. So they were back in 16, I think it was, in our first cohort. They've also done some testing at Fresno State at the farm, and now they actually still keep growing. We're still in contact with them. We still try to support them as much as we can, but they are really working and doing really well. And they actually come back now and mentor some of the companies that are just at that infant state and can use some help. So let me just, I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to start sharing again and see if I can make the video work. So that's where I was going to do share sound. So I'm hoping you can hear this.
Red Track provides an integrated solution for farmers, both the software and the hardware, to be able to measure almost every aspect of their water production, including the cost of energy, the quality of the water, the depth of their water, the efficiency of their pumping. Anything that water touches or that costs money on a farm is sent through the Red Track system and reported back in near real time to farmers, either by reports or they can log into our dashboard and get the data. So getting that information in real time is very valuable to a farmer, and we can chart that against energy costs and come up with water costs and efficiency for a grower.
We've always been impressed with Red Track and what they've done and their knowledge of servicing the industry. And through the program, we've been able to further that relationship and provide some value to them along the way of building contacts and connectivity throughout the Central Valley, especially through the Fresno State network. And we continue to do that today.
We're a software company, an integrator, a consulting company, and we can recommend farmers how best to integrate the right hardware to match what solution they're seeking. Red Track provides agricultural well and water monitoring, custom asset management, GPS tracking, remote tank levels, and energy data collection.
Hey, great stuff.
Yes, I'm just gonna, I guess, share again and get this down and stop sharing. And then I just think I had one more slide. I'm just gonna see that was the video. The only thing I just wanted to share, from current slide. I just wanted to share a little bit about, just not necessarily, but this is just a picture of how our funding relies to where you are on your, how our programming connects to where you are in your venture journey, and also what kind of funding goes with that. But I can also see we are kind of getting close to the 1 o'clock time. So I think I'm going to stop here and just allow for any questions or comments.
Yeah, if you have a question, hit the Q&A box. It's not too late. And I just might add that it's been a great partnership with us, with the Wet Center at Fresno State, and a lot of the unique programs that we've been able to bring over the last 4 or 5 years to Bakersfield, some of the training beyond our capital summits and participation in our capital summits, but we've had really unique grant writing presentations and workshops, and we've had a couple of the CalSeed. We got a great introduction to the U.S. Patent and Trade Mark Office, and have done numerous ones with them, including we did our webinar with them about 8 or 10 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Good.
some unique financing and some unique funding, the SBIR stuff, and a lot of stuff. It's really brought a great resource. So thank you for all that.
Yeah, and that is really one of the things that you mentioned, SBR, we really want to try to be better at in our region, because we are not getting the numbers that I think we should have with small business innovation research grants. California gets a lot, but not in our region.
Yeah, and there's only 2 or 3 billion going out, nationwide. So we got to get our cut.
Exactly. So actually DOE, Department of Energy, just released their topics. I think it was the 9th of November. So if you are in that space, you might want to take a look and see if there's anything that applies to you in terms of energy. One of the topics is actually if you want to deploy your technology into a community, you can get funding for that as well. So
Great. Well, let's hit the question and answer box. First of all, they're asking if you could share your contact information.
Sure.
So if you can add that into the chat, and I'll take on a couple of these questions and we'll hit the chat box and wrap it up. First question is on Ppp Forgiveness, and received the Ppp between May and June of last year. And apparently it was through Cabbage, and Cabbage is starting to bill. Okay, a couple things here. The one good thing is that timeline that we had mentioned, the 10 months to apply from the end of your covered period. So that's another 24 weeks, 10 months, probably brings you to the time to where you're outside of that 10-month window. The good news on this is that you can still get Ppp forgiveness. So, but they do start sending you an invoice. So yes, it is legal for you to, and I believe for Cabbage to bill you for Ppp. What you need to do is you need to contact Cabbage. It's actually, I believe, Case Servicing, which is a subsidiary company. And for those of you that might have used Cabbage in the past, our clients, we had some that did. The number was 855-669-1549. And if you continue to have problems, contact me offline and I'll see what I can do to help. But the good news is you should be able to still get full forgiveness as long as you go through the process and spent 60% or more for payroll and had other qualified expenditures and a few other things. They can start billing you. The only question I don't know to that is if you can get back past payments if you receive 100% forgiveness. So good luck with that. And now hitting the chat box. A lot of great resources. Thanks again to our producer, Maureen, for filling up the chat box with a lot of the things that we discussed on a lot of the different programs. I was wondering, here's a question. I was wondering if you could report the amounts granted by race. And I believe you're talking about the EIDL program. Really, one of the shortcomings of Ppp was that it was an election. They made it an election to the borrower to fill out that information. So on Ppp, it's kind of sporadic, the amount of information that came in. But when you go through the Ppp forgiveness, that will be the last form, and it's optional, half a page form based on the demographic information of the particular borrower. So Ppp, but you know what? Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. And if I could jump in and maybe go here, and we can actually look maybe right here. Okay, so here is kind of the information that if we do have race information on the grant program, it's going to be right here. This is the SBA EIDL information. It shows you the national, it's a 10-page report. This is the one I referenced earlier on the numeric eye chart. 292 billion spent. They have the information by state. They have a lot of the regional breakdown, be in service area. They have the targeted EIDL, again, by state. So I'm not seeing it broke down in that demographic information. And this is generally the most information that I see that SBA has been providing on the EIDL potential program. So a lot on the supplemental and targeted EIDL products that were slightly different. as they extend, but that's basically all I can see right now. Okay, well, I hope that helped. We're out of time. I'd like to thank Helle so much for joining us as our special guest. Always great to get a great update on that particular problem. Again, if you needed that cabbage phone number for PPP, I have it over here. It is 855-669-1549. And that is the servicing agent, K Servicing, which handles the cabbage actual PPP loans. Again, 855-669-1549. Okay, and that support office, I believe, is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 Eastern time. So that should be plenty of time to help with that. If you have any other questions, send me an email. It's on a lot of the information that's out there, kbearden@csub.edu. Thanks again for joining us. And Helle, thank you so much for bringing the BlueTechValley, the Wet Center, and all the information going on in innovation and technology and ag tech up and down the San Joaquin Valley. I'm Kelly Bearden for Helle Petersen. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.